This is day 65 of chapter 23. This is the last part 9. This question is from exercise 23C, question number 34. This is the data given. If you notice the question that is there in the book, it has very less questions. Okay. I want to show you all possible calculations that can be done using this data. So I have included few more subdivisions of that question. So this is the data that is given. That's marks and number of students. The marks start from 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30 and so on up to 90 to 100. And the number of students who scored these marks from 0 to 10, there are 5 students. 10 to 20 marks, there are 9 students who scored. There are 16 students who scored marks between 20 and 30 and so on. Okay. These are the number of students that are given. Using this, there is a third column that you need to find. That's called cumulative frequency. Okay. This is for finding median using an ogive. For finding mode, the graph that you drew was a histogram. For finding median and other things, the graph that you're going to draw is called an ogive. An ogive is also called a cumulative frequency curve, or it is also called an S-shaped curve. Okay, there are 3 names for it. It's either called an ogive, otherwise it's called a cumulative frequency curve, or it is called an S-shaped curve. Okay. So, we are first going to find the cumulative frequency from the given frequencies here. All that you have to do is, you keep adding these frequencies and write down here. Okay. First frequency is 5, that remains the same, so 5. Then 5 plus the next frequency is 9. So 5 plus 9 gives you a 14. 14 plus 16 gives you 30. 30 plus 22 gives you 52. 52 plus 26 gives you 78. 78 plus 18 gives you 96. 96 plus 11 gives you 107. 107 and 6 gives you 113. 113 and 4 gives you 117. And 117 and 3 gives you 120. This is the last cumulative frequency. Represent this as capital N. N also means the total of all these frequencies, which previously you saw it was sigma f. You can write it as sigma f, or you can write it as N. Okay. So there are 120 students, okay, in this class. So this is the first calculation that's done. Also check whether there is continuity in the class intervals. That's 10. The next class interval starts with 10. Therefore, it is continuous. Now, you have to plot these on a graph and get an ogive. Now, before that, say the questions that are asked, first subdivision of the question is to find the median. Okay. I've shown you a few calculations here. First subdivision is finding median. Median is the middle number, or it is halfway through in the series. Okay. So it's the middle number, therefore median is given as n by second observation. N is this value, that's 120 is n value. Okay. So the total number of students divided by second observation. It's halfway through, that's why it's called the median. So n by second observation is what you're going to find. And n value you know is 120. Therefore 120, this is 120 divided by second observation. That gives you, if you simplify 120 by 2, that gives you 60. So you have to find what is the 60th observation on the graph. That value will be the median. So I have left a blank here. We will draw the graph and find out from the graph what is the actual value of the median. You only know that it is the 60th observation that you have to find. Okay. That's your median. The second question is finding lower quartile. Lower quartile, which is represented as Q1. Lower quartile, previously also we had discussed, median is halfway through, lower quartile is 1/4. Okay. So lower quartile is 1/4, therefore n by 4th observation is what you need to find as the lower quartile. But n value is 120, so 120 by 4th observation, that gives you 30th observation. So on the graph you have to see which is the 30th observation and write down the value here. So that also I have left blank. The third question is finding upper quartile. Upper quartile, which is represented as Q3. Okay. Lower quartile is 1/4, upper quartile is 3/4. So 3/4 of nth observation. So 3n by 4th observation is what you are going to find as the upper quartile. So 3 into n value is 120 by 4th observation. If you simplify this, you will get 90th observation. So on the graph you have to see which is the 90th observation and write the value here. And the fourth question is finding interquartile range. What is the range between the upper quartile and the lower quartile? We still haven't found upper quartile and lower quartile. After finding that, then you can subtract both of them. That is Q3 upper quartile minus Q1, that is lower quartile, and write the value. Fifth question is semi-interquartile range. Interquartile range is Q3 minus Q1. This is semi, therefore half of it. That's Q3 minus Q1 divided by 2. After you get this value, put that here and divide by 2. Okay. We'll come to the next two questions later. So these are the first things that you're going to find from the graph. But the first thing is you have to plot the graph. Now when you need to plot the graph, there are two quantities that you require. One should be on the x-axis and one should be on the y-axis. If you notice for the histogram, when we drew the x-axis and the y-axis, you took the lower limit of the first one and the upper limit of the last one and plotted them on the x-axis. But now you will not plot the lower limits, you are going to plot only the upper limits, that is this. That's starting from 10, 20, 30 and so on up to 100 should be plotted on the x-axis. That's the horizontal line from 10 up to 100. These are the values that you are going to plot. Only the upper limits on the x-axis, and the cumulative frequency should be on the y-axis. So if you notice, the least cumulative frequency is 5 and the highest is 120, which means you have to plot values till 120 on the y-axis, and here on the x-axis you have to plot till 100. Okay, so let's go to the graph. I'll show you what exactly is plotted on the graph. Okay. So if you look at the graph, this is your x-axis, this line is the x-axis. If you notice, I put an arrow and put an x. Okay. And this line is your y-axis. On the x-axis, as I told you, you're going to plot only the upper limits of the marks. So I've written here upper limit of marks. And on the y-axis, you're going to plot the cumulative frequency. So cumulative frequency of students is written here. Okay. Now, to plot these, the upper limit, first upper limit is 10 and the last upper limit is 100. So from 10 up to 100 is what you have to get. So what I have done is, I have divided every 2 centimeter as 10 units. So from here to here 2 centimeter, that's 10, 2 centimeter, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and the last value is here, that's 100. And on the y-axis, as I said, the last cumulative frequency was 120, so you have to plot till 120. So I have divided every 1 centimeter as 10 units. This is 1 centimeter, that's 10, 1 centimeter, 10 more, that's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, and the last value is here, that's 120. After plotting this, okay, if we can go back to the table which is there, okay, look at this. The first upper limit is 10, for that the cumulative frequency is 5. This and this is what you're going to plot, these two. Okay. So for 10, cumulative frequency is 5. For 20, it's 14. For 30, it's 30, and so on. Okay. So this is what we're going to plot here. So coming to the x-axis, first value is 10. Okay. Upper limit, first upper limit was 10, and for that the cumulative frequency was 5. Okay. Cumulative frequency is this side, so you have to get 5. Before that, this point is the meeting point of the x-axis and the y-axis. You also have to write their coordinates. If you see the difference between 10 and 20, that's 10. So if this is 10, this must be 10 less. So that means that's 0. X value is 0. on the y-axis, the difference between these values is 10. So difference between these two values also must be 10. So if this is 10, this also must be 0. So the meeting point here is 0, 0. Okay. Now, for the first upper limit 10, the cumulative frequency was 5. 5 is not here. This is 0, this is 10, in between is 5. So I marked a point at 5. So for 10, it's 5. For 20, it is 14. Okay. For 20, it's 14. So you will have to count and see where the 14 is and plot accordingly. So that's 14. For 30, it's 30. So 30, meeting point of that, that's 30. Okay. For 40, it's 52. 50 is here. Just one value above that is 52 here. So 40, 52 I have plotted. And for 50 is 78. This is 80. So 78 is here. That I have plotted. Then for 60, it is 96. 96 is here. For 70 is 107. 107 is here. For 80 is 113. 113 is the point here. For 90, it's 117. And for 100, it is 120. You can't see the point because of this. Okay. So this point is 120. So I've got all these points. Now what you have to do is, you will have to join them freehand, not using a ruler. Okay. So starting from that first point 120, you keep joining these points, okay, and take them down. So the curve that you got here now is called an ogive. As I said, it's also called the cumulative frequency curve, and it is also called an S-shaped curve because it looks like an S. Okay. So this is the ogive that we are going to use to find all the possible values that I have written there. Okay. So let's go to the green board. Let's see what is the first subdivision of the question. The first subdivision of the question is finding median. As I said, median is n by second observation. We got that is the 60th observation. Now if you look at the 60 you got from the 120. You divided 120 by 2. And the 120 is actually under cumulative frequency, which means this value that you got from the 120 is also the cumulative frequency. So on the graph, the y-axis is the cumulative frequency and the x-axis are the marks. So 60th observation is the cumulative frequency that you are going to look for on the graph, and for that whatever value you get is the median. So 60th observation is what we are going to see. Okay. So for that, let's go to the graph. 60th observation. As I said, the 60th observation is the cumulative frequency. Cumulative frequency is here. 60th observation is this one. Okay. So from here, what you will do is you will draw a horizontal dotted line to meet this curve. And wherever it meets the curve, from there you drop a perpendicular line to go to the y-axis. And what value you get, that becomes your median. So we will start drawing the dotted line from the 60th observation. So it's like this. 60th observation, I'm just drawing dotted lines, going and meeting the curve. And wherever it has met the curve, from there you draw a perpendicular line going down to the x-axis. So from this point, I'm going to draw a vertical line going downwards. Okay. So say this is the vertical line. This reading that you're going to get, that value is your median. Okay. So as I told you previously in the histogram, how you have to read it. Okay. So first find the difference between 50 and 40 and count how many small divisions are there in your graph and divide this difference by that. That will give you each division's value. And then you start counting from here and see what value you get. Approximately I am getting a 42. Okay. This is your median. So this has to be written in the answer. So we got the median, which is the 60th observation. And the 60th observation went to the x-axis at 42. So our answer for median is 42. The first one is done. The second one, is finding lower quartile. That is n by 4th observation. That's 120 by 4th observation. That's the 30th observation. So you have to see where this 30th observation goes on your graph. That value is your lower quartile. So let's see where the 30th observation goes. This 30th observation again is your cumulative frequency. So from cumulative frequency 30, you will have to start drawing the dotted line. Okay. So again, on the graph, this is your cumulative frequency, 30 is here. So from here, if you draw a horizontal line to meet the curve, so that's your horizontal line going to meet your curve. And from there, drop a perpendicular line. It will exactly go to 30. So this value 30 is your lower quartile value. So let's write down the answer here, this side. So lower quartile, 30th observation went to 30. So lower quartile is 30. Next, you're going to find upper quartile, which is 3n by 4th observation, which should be the 90th observation. Again, this 90th observation is the cumulative frequency. So on the graph, you have to look for 90th observation and find the value on the x-axis. Okay. So going back to the graph, 90th observation. Okay. Cumulative frequency 90 is here. From here, you draw a horizontal line to meet the curve. And from this point, drop a perpendicular line going down. So this is what you should get. So this line goes between 50 and 60. Okay. So if this 50, 60 in between value is 55, so this must be 56. So our value for upper quartile is this one, is 56. So we found lower quartile, which is 30, upper quartile, which is 56. Now to find this interquartile range is the difference between upper quartile and lower quartile. Upper quartile value is 56 minus lower quartile value is 30. That should give you 26. That's found. Fifth subdivision is semi-interquartile range. That is interquartile range divided by 2. Interquartile range value that you got is 26. So 26 divided by 2, which should give you a 13. So 5 subdivisions we have done. Now coming to this. Sixth question is, you have to find the number of students who obtain more than 75% marks in the test. Listen to this carefully. It says you are going to find number of students who obtain more than 75% marks in the test. Now if you notice on the graph, these are marks, 75% is marks. Marks are on the x-axis and you are going to find number of students who scored that many marks, that's above 75% marks. So, we go to the graph. Marks are on the x-axis. Okay. That means this is 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, 100% marks. Okay. So we know the marks. How many got 75% and more is the question. Okay. And we are going to find the number of students who scored that many marks. So number of students are here, this side. So you're going to find a value which is on the y-axis because you know the value that is on the x-axis. You know the marks. Marks are 75%. Okay. So if you look at this, this is 70% marks, this is 80% marks, in between is 75% marks. Okay. So from here is what you're going to start. You're going to do the opposite of whatever we did till now. Okay. In the previous cases, you started from the y-axis and you got values on the x-axis. But now you will start from the x-axis and get values which is there on the y-axis. So 75% and above. So this is 75. So from here you draw a vertical line going upwards to meet the curve. Okay. So this is your vertical line going upwards. And from here you draw a horizontal line to go to the x-axis. So That's the horizontal line which goes and meets the y-axis. And if you see, it goes to 110, which means the 110 student got 75 marks. The question is, how many got number of students who obtained more than 75? It doesn't ask how many got 75. Okay. It says how many got more than 75% marks. Okay. So this student 110 got 75, so he is not included. Above him, how many are there? So that is, total students are 120. 120 minus 110, that will give you 10 students who got more than 75 marks. And this student, 110 student got 75. Below him, all these students got less than 75. These are less than 75. This is exactly 75. This is more than 75. The question is, how many got more than 75? So 120 minus 110, that should give you 10 students who got 75 and above. So number of students who obtain more than 75% in the test is 10 students. Okay. The sixth subdivision is done. There is a seventh subdivision which says you have to find the number of students who did not pass in the test if the pass percentage was 40. Pass marks was 40. You know the marks. 40 is the pass mark. How many students did not pass? Okay, is what you are going to find from the graph. So again, you are going to find number of students. Number of students are on the y-axis, and 40 are the pass marks. Marks are on the x-axis. So you have to start from the x-axis and go to the y-axis. So these are the marks. So 40 is the pass mark. 40 is here. So from here, you have to go upwards to meet the curve, and from there, draw a horizontal line to go to the y-axis. So you're going to start from 40. This is your pass mark. Okay. So from 40, I draw a vertical line going upwards. And from this point, where it met the graph, I draw a horizontal line going to the y-axis. And if you notice, it will exactly go to 52, which means the 52nd student got 40 marks. Pass mark is 40, which means this 52nd student has passed because he's got 40. Above him, everybody is passed because they all got more than 40. All these are more than 40. All these are less than 40. Exactly this point is 40. So this student has passed. Below him, everybody failed. So this number which it went to is 52. Which means the 52nd student has passed. So below him, how many students are there? There are 51 students which are below him. Because this is the 52nd student, he's exactly got 40 marks. Everyone below him, there are 51 students below him. Those 51 students failed. They didn't get pass marks. So the last answer, number of students who did not pass in the test, if the pass percentage was 40, exactly 40 goes to 52, which means the 52nd student passed. Below him, there are 51 students who did not pass. So the last answer is 51. Okay. I'll also give you the homework for today. The homework is, I'm writing it here, exercise 23C. Question numbers 16, 21, 23, 37 and 35. And one more thing is, when you draw the graph, everything should be drawn using pencil and ruler. Okay. Except for this curve. You can draw freehand, no using ruler, but everything should be done using your pencil. Do not use pen to draw these graphs. Everything you have to use pencil. Thank you.